With me now, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who says if the recommendations from the Debt Commission came up for a vote, he'd vote yes. Congressman, very good to have you.
Great to be back, Neil.
There is some frustration, Congressman, I guess with both parties, those who were not necessarily fans of everything the Debt Commission recommended, but commended them for recommending it, and expressing frustration with the president who appointed them in the first place, that is, commission members, to come up with solutions and then to essentially abandon those solutions. What's going on here?
Neil, I think, the package of reforms that the Simpson-Bowles Commission put together, it's hard to say you like them because it's, as you were discussing with your earlier guest, all of that stuff hurts somebody, whether it's taxes or cuts here and there or changes to entitlement. It's all scary at a minimum for people. The reason I said I would vote for it because at the time it was the only honest treatment of our overall federal budget. This institution has been talking about non-defense discretionary, which is 12% of our outlays. And so finally now we have something in Simpson-Bowles that is comprehensive and that is real about the future. So that's the kind of argument, that's the kind of thinking we need to have here in the Congress.
Does it give you any pause at all, Congressman, that I agree with you and support that view? Will you rethink your whole strategy as a result?
Neil, I keep telling people we are either going to take up a Simpson-Bowles-like discussion in the next year or so, or we're going to do it shortly thereafter, but we're not going to do it voluntarily. So look, I have no doubt that we are going to address the overall budget, the overall outlays, the entitlements, but do we do it in a calm way where we try to do it in as equitable a fashion as possible, protecting our most vulnerable, protecting investment in things like railways and highways and other things that we really need for a vigorous economy, or are we going to have to do it because we see Treasury rates, jump 50 basis points in one option?
You hit the nail on the head, Congressman. I think what happens, and this is not really casting blame on either party, but for example, in this debate about entitlements, it's equated to, taking money out of the elderly's hands, or they're going to be starving in nursing homes, what have you. And, when Democrats talk about, all right, trimming defense, and Republicans come back, oh, you're leaving us exposed to al-Qaeda. So both sides play these ridiculous, sensational games. So I don't know if we've moved past that, because I don't see much movement from that.
Well, we're now sort of getting into thinking about the presidential election, and of course there's congressional elections as well. So yes, the whole process is going to be clouded by the political baloney.
So that means that you're never going to get anything done up through 2012?
Well, no, I don't think so. Look, as I said to you just now, we're either going to do this voluntarily, thoughtfully, carefully in the next year, or we're going to punt on it, in which case we're going to be right back talking about it, but it's going to be because we've been forced to.
Yeah,
because
but I think
you know
what, no offense to you, sir, you're as good as they get, you're trying to do the right thing, but I think they will punt past 2012, and by then, $4 billion a day deeper in debt, you work the math out, it's going to be a lot. So we'll be in even deeper doo-doo, and we'll put off because that's what Congress and Washington in general are very good at.
Well, look, let's see, right? We've got two tells coming up. We've got what happens at the end of this week. Can the majority here in the House, can John Boehner kind of put together a working majority that can have difficult discussions and maybe make some compromises? And it's the last part that is the interesting part.
Yeah, but what does that tell you, Congressman? I mean, if they can't even come to agreement on whether it's going to be 30, 40, 50, $60 billion in the face of what is a $1.5 trillion deficit, then that does not give much hope for change.
What it tells you is whether the majority party, which at least on my side of the Capitol has a lot of clout, is going to be in a position to talk about two things that they don't want to talk about, which is looking at the tax code, considering whether, in fact, the Bush tax cuts should be allowed to expire, which many economists will say they better, and it will also open space for us to talk about defense.
You just said you like the Debt Commission that calls for sharply lower rates, albeit at the expense of getting rid of a lot of tax breaks, so that you can't have a vote.
But the Debt Commission also never envisioned that the 01 and 03 tax cuts would be made permanent. They know exactly what the price tag on that happening would be, and it actually happens to be almost exactly what the $4 trillion in cuts that they identified identified over 10 years.
Where did they get the top rate at 21%, down from a top rate now at 35%?
Well, that's different, right? What Simpson-Bowles was saying, they were saying two things. One, lower the rates and expand the base, get rid of the loopholes and the deductions and the credits. That was their main point. And by the way, that's a good idea. It's going to be fought over because everybody likes those loopholes when they're their loopholes. But Simpson-Bowles never envisioned that the 01 and 03 tax cuts would be made permanent, which of course is the position of the majority in the House.
Yeah, but you see what we're doing here, though, Congress, with the best of intentions here? We're debating, in your case here, over how much more to give the government, which you've just stated right now is all but a lousy product. You could never do that at an auto showroom. This is a lemon, sir, but we've got to find a way to pay more for it, or just junk the lemon.
Yeah, Neil, that's not right. Look, as you know, an awful lot of the spending that this government does is spending through Medicare and Social Security and other programs that benefit our seniors. We have more seniors in this country than we did yesterday and that we did a year ago and that we had 10 years ago. So the notion that the demands of the social programs that largely serve our seniors and our most vulnerable, that number is going to go down as the population ages, that just doesn't stand the test of logic.
But you just said that you got to bring those entitlements under control so they don't grow so ghastly that they're out of control, right?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Remember, I'm one of the few members around here who said he would vote for the Simpson-Bowles proposal.
Yes, you did.
They said get those entitlements under control, but they also said you've got to look hard at revenues. They've said you've got to cut defense, you've got to cut discretionary. You got to do all these things if we're going to get our debt down to a reasonable level.
So when you say you're open to all these things, does Nancy Pelosi just ignore you when you pass her in the hole? Does she look the other way?
Look, Nancy Pelosi, leads this party, and she'll figure out what she needs to do. My job is to represent the people of my constituency and try to do the best job I can.
She sounds to me like she ignores you. I'm kidding.
Always.
I'm kidding. All right, Congressman O'Reilly, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Neil.